Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another wonderful Overwatch game. Tonight we have CECC. Today it will be Boise State University going up against UCSD. I am your host, AJ Pepley, and I'm joined by my co-host, Bryce Jensen. There are only two teams playing tonight, two different games, and we'll be deciding a winner here pretty soon. Now, Bryce, just to get things started, I have a bit of a question for you. So, CECC is something newer for this year for Overwatch. And we've seen stuff with Playfly, we've seen stuff with PEC, so I'm just curious, what do you think you're going to expect to see in terms of similarities or differences between what we've seen and the stuff we've already been casting for versus this new stuff, CECC?
So I think with CECC, we're going to see a lot more competitiveness and a lot more higher-level strategic thinking than we have for a few of the other game modes that we have been in the past. For one, the PEC region is definitely more close to the CECC than anything else we've seen. I think that we're also going to see a lot more competitiveness out of CECC than we have with the Playfly broadcasts in the past. These teams have definitely gotten to know each other a lot better than some of the other teams may have. Some of these guys have been playing with each other for up to 4 years now, and I think just having that bond between players is definitely going to help let that competitiveness shine.
Yeah, having a team where you know everybody and you know everybody's skills is especially crucial. We might not be seeing those as much in stuff like Playfly, for example, because those are usually club teams, other collegiate games. Not to say that they're not good; they're still plenty skillful, but it's just more of a mixed bag with stuff like that. So I completely agree, and it definitely does help when your teams are a group of people that just know each other and know everything that they need to know in terms of the game, because that'll help you get through it the easiest and hopefully get you to the win. And so hopefully we'll be seeing some of that here soon as the game gets started here, and hopefully the next few minutes as we finish getting everything set up. Here we see our very first map. We have Nepal for Control. For CECC, every single time we start with Control, the first map gets picked, but a little bit of a different thing here is the game mode is also decided in between each match by the loser as well as the map. So instead of something like PEC where we'd start with Control and then go on to Hybrid and then everything else past that, instead, whoever loses here in Control is going to be deciding what we do for our second round. So it's a bit of a change-up, adds a lot more surprise, suspense, everything like that. So it's going to be adding to the experience much more than the more linear fashion that we're used to.
Another thing that really pushes this a lot farther than the other game modes that we see in the PEC is that we can't pick out the same game mode or map twice. So you're still never going to see anything twice, but the order definitely changes a lot depending on both what the team feels a lot more comfortable with that lost the last game, or maybe even just to switch it up on the attacking side, or the people who are kind of winning in the match. And just kind of being able to feel your way around the game modes and not really know what's going to happen next is what I feel is going to be the most entertaining part about this.
Yeah, having that surprise factor as well as just unfamiliarity is very helpful. Speaking of that, we also are going to be seeing the newest push map, Runescopy. So that'll be pretty exciting. The players are potentially less used to it. Depending on how the teams decide to play, we might be seeing that for that element of surprise or unfamiliarity. But we just got to wait to see if we even get there, because like we said before, anything can get picked as long as it's not picked the same time in a row. So we might see push as the last map if we even get there, or it could be the second map. It really just depends.
Honestly, I kind of hope we get to see a little bit of Runescopy today because, I mean, we haven't seen it in the competitive scene yet. We've definitely seen it for a while in just the Overwatch gameplay, but it'll be really interesting to see how these highly competitive teams take their own approach to this map, with it being so windy and honestly kind of one of the more compressed push maps out of all of them out there, and kind of how all the different team synergies are going to sort of play into it.
Yeah, okay, so we have a list of all of our BSU players, or excuse me, Boise State players right here. We have Jonathan Foraker, Cannon Miller, Garrett Strickler, Carter Jones, Will Hess, and Jenny Cummins. Lots of great players. Different types of characters that they might be used to. Tank, support, damage, doesn't matter. They all are here on this team for a reason, because they all have the skills that they need to get through this. Now we'll just be seeing how they play up against UCSD as we start off here in Nepal. We get a nice view over here at the very start. Let everyone in the audience know what is soon to come.
Honestly, I'm kind of excited to see this match. This is like the first proper match we've gotten since the start of the season. We did have a PEC game the day after the season, the day of the season drop, and we didn't really get to see any of the new changes that sort of came with it. We saw the continuation of the dominance of Juno within the competitive scene and just being able to speed people in and out. But looking at it from this and these very, very highly competitive teams, as well as their great ability to work together, we're definitely going to see some great gameplay coming out of these two teams tonight.
We've seen a lot of similarities when it comes to team composition going off of that, especially bringing up Juno. Juno and Brigitte are a very popular combo when it comes to supports. So it wouldn't be very surprising to see them going here. Just like we see UC San Diego starting out, we do see Damocles and Rogue doing that combo. Though Boise State has decided to go with their Lyric and Hex going on Ana and Brigitte. We start out here, we see Strider trying to get on the point before the control point unlocks, sticking back but still rolling in when necessary. While the rest of the team sticks back and decides to be careful before the actual action starts, as soon as you have to start worrying about that point. Speaking of, we see that opening up now. UC San Diego currently on the point, with Mind doing their best to lead as Strider goes in, trying to take down the Reyes.
Unfortunately, we don't really see anything out of Boise State's team there. I feel like with the dominance of Orisa in this current meta, it's going to be really hard for Strider to do just about anything on the Wrecking Ball. That Fortify and Javelin spin, especially the Javelin throw, can stop Wrecking Ball in his tracks and just kind of get rid of all the momentum he's built up.
Yeah, but we know Strider is an excellent Wrecking Ball player. We've seen him many, many games, and we know that he is an expert at what he does. So I wouldn't be surprised if that point gets proven, but we're just going to have to wait to see here. So far, UC San Diego currently has it up at 26%. Boise State is doing their best to contest it with Strider getting up in their faces. But currently, UCSD is just putting up too much of a fight for them to be able to handle at the moment. Arace is getting very low on health, but fortunately is able to be healed up by the rest of the team as he gets that Deadeye completely filled up. Damocles has the rally, drops it right there to make sure none of the people on their team die. All 5 of them currently on the point. Strider's very low on health, not able to push the team forward, but is currently getting health backs, getting healed up by the rest of the supports on the team as they're able to regroup and get back on. With Strider getting up in their faces, Frost providing, helping fire from the side here with that, the dynamite throw.
Yeah, that constant pressure from Ashe is definitely coming into play. We can see that here, Mind breaking on the Terra Surge, not really able to find anything, but that Juno ult coming out is just way too much for Boise to handle.
Boring Winter is able to take down 3 of them, Hex, Frost, and Lyric, all back to back to back. Clear is able to take him out in an act of revenge, but Mind takes him out immediately afterwards. Eliminations are being traded back and forth. Strider has yet to go down, but has not been able to find a point where they're able to get back onto the control point and take it for themselves. UC San Diego has it up to 80% now, with Boise State currently at 0%. They're pretty far from the point they need to get to, but they still have a little bit of time left to get back in there and take the point for themselves.
Yeah, going into this next point, San Diego definitely has the old advantage, but we do see the Bob come out, not really able to get onto point. Here comes the Deadeye, also not really able to find anything with all of Boise State backing away. Unfortunately, Bob not being able to touch the point means that they have to go in.
Yeah, Strider nearly has that minefield built back up. They just dropped it earlier, but they're almost back. There it is, right there, as they're able to get 4 of the kills, Mine being the only one left, trying to hold the point as best they can, as they get flipped over in a dramatic death with a out-of-nowhere team kill. Boise State was at a pretty rough spot as San Diego got it up to 99%, but just in those last moments, they were able to take it back for themselves.
That was a great showing out of Boise. We were able to see them turn a ult deficit into 4 out of their 5 players having ults available. This is going to be a massive, this is going to be an advantage that they're going to see definite results out of, especially in this next team fight.
Yeah, Bob was the only one who got dropped, but now Strider has that minefield at the ready, waiting for all of them to leave. Drops it right there, directly on top of the Cassidy and Orisa, but unfortunately gets hit by the magnetic grenade, stunning him in place. He's able to stay alive and take down Arrayas in the process with the melee, as Frost has a wonderful shot onto Rogue, taking down one of their support characters, forcing them to get pushed back. Especially that dynamite throw onto Boring Winter, getting his health down real low as Clear is able to take him down with a melee. Mine is forced even farther back as Boise State is able to keep the pressure high and get the point up to nearly 50%, with still 2 of their ultimates remaining from both of their support characters. The Rally and the Orbital Ray being able to help them out a lot, if we'll be seeing that here soon.
Yeah, we've seen out of San Diego, they really like to play in this room, and with Orisa, it makes it a lot easier. However, with Frost and his really good dynamites, it allows him to get excellent chip damage and just not really able to find anything. We do see the Rally get popped. Not really much is going on here, with Strider still being able to do just about whatever he wants on the background.
We see the Orbital Ray getting dropped by Lyric. doing their best to keep the team alive as Rogue dropped it themselves. The Terror Surge should not find any picks, but we hear Boring Winter bringing out the Dragon Blade, taking down Hex. He is doing his best to get any more eliminations, and is he able to take down Frost? Lyric went down from Reyes. He brought out the Deadeye 2, and unfortunately Strider goes down for the first time this game, with Clear being the only one alive. He's able to escape and stay alive, but unfortunately San Diego was able to take the point back, get into overtime. Clear goes in there trying to get the overtime reset, but gets taken down immediately by a dash from Boring Winter. We see Frost, who switched over to Venture, doing their best to get back in there. With Strider and the rest of the team in tow, they're able to stall the overtime here. And trying to take down, Frost takes down Damocles, able to get a bit of an advantage here. But unfortunately, 4 of the team of UCSC is still alive.
Out comes that minefield, which is going to be incredibly useful in this overtime situation. Just being able to control that point. Strider finding a kill on Rogue, which is enough to push San Diego off the point.
Yeah, taking down a support is very helpful. Strider was also able to take down Boring Winter, but Mine was able to take down Frost with a Javelin. Clear found the pick onto Mine with the Pulse Bomb. Strider's able to take down Arrayas, and now we see Clear going after Damocles. And right there at the end, in the middle of overtime, they're able to take the point back, taking down the entire team and getting that first point for themselves.
That was some awesome ult usage out of Boise, just being able to tip the fight in their favor. We saw it for their first take of the point with only Bob being used, and just having that be enough pressure to shove them off the point and get some pressure going, get some percentage on the board for them, and just sort of help them out. We also saw Hex on the Lucio. I don't know if you caught that there, but he was able to get onto the point and stall it for just long enough for Clear to get back to the point. Lucio is an incredibly good stall character, just being able to get onto the point and kind of be like a little mosquito, just kind of get around and just do what a lot of characters are unable to do.
Yeah, having those fast-moving supports is especially helpful in the midst of overtime. And here we go into the second round. We see a bit of a switch up on, well, actually neither side. They switched up in the middle of the spawn room, but currently have gone back to their original formations. We see Lyric able to take down Damocles, putting Boise State at a slight advantage, with Strider able to take down Rogue as well. Array is falling right afterwards. Mine in a horrible spot, getting taken down by Frost. The entire team got split up, and unfortunately they are all taken down one by one. With only one of them left alive, Boring Winter was able to run away and stay alive, regrouping with the rest of their team. Boise State off to a great start here, being able to get the point for themselves, unlike what happened in the last round.
Yeah, with Boise, their whole game plan, it seems so far, is to just run down 1 or 2 characters with the Hamster and Tracer composition, and just be able to get the first few picks. Unfortunately, you don't see it here with Clear getting immediately picked off by Oris.
Yeah, Arrayas had a great aim, being able to land that headshot. Rogue was able to take down Lyric, so currently Boise State is down 2 characters. Currently we see Hex and Frost hiding on those ramparts right there, just doing their best not to get taken down. Currently San Diego is able to take the point back for themselves as Boise State got up to 29%. Frost is pushed into the backline, is unfortunately taken down by Boring Winter, as Hex and Strider were also eliminated. Boise State is forced to regroup as UC San Diego is able to get the point for themselves and slowly start building it back up. Currently no ultimates are currently at the ready, but we're getting very close to 2 on each side.
Yeah, that first pick on Clear was incredibly unfortunate, since that was one of the main DPS threats that they have on their team. Strider is a threat, but he's not really one by himself. You sort of need that DPS pressure from the Tracer as well.
Speaking of Strider, we saw him getting onto the point, getting it nearly all the way charged up, as Clear was able to flank them and take down Boring Winter. We see Strider going after Damocles and Mime. Unfortunately, they get healed up before he could find any picks, but he's able to keep the pressure high on the point. We see the Terror Surge getting brought out. Strider's able to escape with his life. We see the Pulse Bomb getting dropped onto Mine. He's also able to live. We see Strider bringing out the minefield, dropping it directly into UC San Diego's line of fire. Javelin gets thrown at Strider. He's able to stay alive. We see him going behind, slamming onto the Juno. Rogue is brought down to about half health, but the rally gets brought up by Damocles, as unfortunately Lyric goes down due to the Deadeye from Arrayas. See Boring Winter able to take down Clear. UC San Diego is able to keep the point for themselves. We see nearly Boring Winter got eliminated, but got healing from both the support characters. Strider was able to get back behind a safe spot, get the health pack needed to get back up to full health, as Boise State is forced to regroup to get back on the point.
Looking at the ult lineups, there's definitely a really big threat brewing in UC San Diego. That Genji Dragon Blade and Juno Orbital Ray combo is not one to be underestimated. It's on the same level as the Genji Nano Boost as well. We do see everybody going in, not really able to find anything with everybody still on the point. Rally does get popped, and so do both Orbital Rays. These guys have to be watching for this Genji ult, which could come out at any moment here. Ring goes out, able to find a kill on Rogue and Arrayas. Mine falling soon after with both of his supports down as well.
We saw both those orbital rays got dropped, but it went in the favor of Boise State, who was able to take down most of the team. Damocles was able to escape with his life, but is forced to regroup just like we saw moments before in the previous team fight. Currently, Boise State has Bob and the Pulse Bomb at the ready versus UC San Diego, which only has Boring Winter's Dragon Blade. And while one ultimate can make a big difference, if Boise State is able to bring out Bob at a good moment and Clear is able to find a good pick with that Pulse Bomb, things could go well for the next team fight and hopefully get BSU the second point to win the first round. We see Frost throwing out the dynamite, able to get some good fire damage on the Boring Winter, who was taken down pretty low, was able to survive. Oh, we see Frost get hit by the javelin throw, but is kept alive by some support from his other teammates. We see Mine taking him down with the javelin throw as Boring Winter brings out the Dragon Blade to take down Lyric and Hex, taking down both support characters for Boise State. Strider and Clear, oh, never mind, only Strider is the only one alive. He's able to escape once again, doing a great job at retreating when he needs to, but unfortunately the rest of the team was taken out. San Diego is able to get the point for themselves, up to 93%. Strider has one chance to get the point back for themselves. They're trying to find a good moment to swing in there. But the javelin throw throws him off the point as they're able to get up to 99%. The minefield is at the ready. He chooses not to drop it yet, but Bob gets brought out. Clear is able to take down Damocles. The minefield gets dropped by Strider, who's able to keep Mine back. Gets him very low. Boring Winter gets taken down by Lyric, but is immediately followed up by Arrayas, who's able to take him out, who also eliminates Clear. Arrayas is very low. Mine and Arrayas get taken down at the exact same time. We see Rogue trying to get on the point to keep the overtime staved off, but is taken down by Strider with this Wrecking Ball swing. And once again, in a very, very unlikely turn of events, Boise State is able to take the point back for themselves in the middle of overtime and win the control game for themselves. Round one goes to Boise State.
I feel like we've seen a pretty big dominance when it comes to Boise State in their ability to not only save their ults for the best moments possible, but also being able to take the point back in overtime, which is no small feat, especially with the current comp they're running being almost a direct counter to a lot of Boise's preferred characters. That Brig and Juno is incredibly hard to dive with Tracer Ball, and Orisa is almost a direct counter to the Wrecking Ball just as a character in how she's played. So the real question is, how are San Diego going to counter Wrecking Ball without the counters working?
Well, something that I think I've noticed, especially with just the fact that that composition we see from our team, is that they 99% of the time will play these characters because they know that composition works and they are good at what they do, extremely good at these characters. And so, since the counters aren't working, at this point, it's just a matter of a change in strategy or just in general having those comfort picks, because Boise State's entire team composition that they bring to most of the matches are all of their comfort picks, and it's a comfort team composition. So at this point, San Diego's in a pretty rough spot because they're putting up a very difficult fight for Boise State, but both times they were able to take it back in overtime. So that puts San Diego in a tough spot because they get eliminated during Boise State, their own overtime, as Boise State is very close to their own overtime. So at that point, they don't really have much time to get back. So if they're able to find a way to keep them off the point in the midst of all those dive characters during overtime, then that could get them those wins. But also what matters here is we've only seen Control. And we've still got Hybrid potentially coming up. But we've got a bit of a different change up here. We would usually see Hybrid with usually King's Row coming up next. But like we mentioned before, it is a bit of a change up with the map preferences here.
So with CECC, as we mentioned earlier, it not only the map depends on the loser team, but they also get to choose the map type, which is why we're going to see a flashpoint here for round 2. Do you think we're going to see any substantial differences in any of these team comps?
Well, the interesting thing here is flashpoint is just multiple small control maps, because all it is just taking a bunch of little control points, hoping you can get 3 before the other team does. So, as I expected from Boise State, basically no change in their composition, but we do see San Diego switching Mine going from Orisa to now Junker Queen. Damocles is now on Lucio and Rogue is now on Kariko. So we just see a big change from them. As we start out, we see Rogue going down from Clear, able to sneak behind enemy lines and take him down while he's low. Frost focuses on Damocles, who's taken down by Lyric. We see Mine getting onto the point, going up against Hex. It'll deal a lot of damage, but Frost is able to take him down. Arrayas is takes down Clear in the process, taking away some of Boise's dive capabilities, but we still have Strider out, and he is great for getting up in their faces and bowling into anybody who dares come close.
Yeah, we saw it really early on. Mine on the Junker Queen is definitely going to struggle a little bit into this Ashe if Rogue and Damocles can't get past the really high, not rate of fire, but high damage coming from Ashe, especially with Frost being so good at just getting those headshots.
Absolutely. But there's a lot of pressure being put on Frost right now. Boring Winter got really low, but was dealing a lot of damage there to Frost. Strider was able to take down Rogue in the midst of the chaos, but unfortunately, Arrayas takes down Clear once again. Strider's able to take a pick on Damocles as well, and Hex follows up with Boring Winter going down. Frost is trying to take down Arrayas, but just this Trace is just too fast for Frost's aim here. Hex is able to take down Mine, leaving UC San Diego without a tank, putting Boise State at a pretty good spot. We see Strider going out to take down Arrayas when he's least expecting it.
Yeah,
UC
hunts
San
it down
Diego.
like a wild animal.
Absolutely, but we know that Strider is very good at that. We see every single time he plays Wrecking Ball, which is every time I see Strider playing, they're able to deal that necessary damage and just get up in their faces while still playing that important role as a tank. And we see that being put to its full effect right here as Boise State is able to take the first flashpoint to themselves.
Both Tracers are approaching their pulse bombs for this next fight. Arrayas has a slight ult advantage, but it's not really going to matter with both Tracers since that ult does charge up really quickly. And whichever one lands a kill first is probably going to decide this next fight.
Yeah, and having this tempo flashpoint is very important because that's a lot of different points that the Tracer can come from to drop the pulse bomb. We see Strider taking a lot of damage here, being forced to move back behind the support so that way they're able to keep him alive, so that way he can leave them alive. We see Mine taking down Lyric with that blade, and as Strider's able to take down Damocles. So support characters gone from both sides, as Mine is put in a pretty bad spot. They got this, the health pack, but is unfortunately brought to very low, as Hex is able to take him down. Strider's able to slam onto Boring Winter. We saw in the midst of all that, Strider got down very low, but was able to put the minefield on the point, allowing Boise State to able to take the flashpoint for themselves. Arrayas goes down due to Clear, who's able to land a melee onto them. So San Diego's forced to regroup once again, so that way they can push back. We see Frost behind the rest of the team, ready to land those long-distance shots and hopefully get some kills on the smaller characters like Arrayas, Rogue, or anyone who isn't Mine for that matter.
We also see Lyric and Hex both having their ultimates almost up. In comparison to Damocles and Rogue, just barely being off their ults in time for this team fight. So I'm interested to see how that's going to affect, especially with the introduction of Bob with Frost now.
Yeah, there's a good combination. Having that orbital ray with Bob at the same time could prove dangerous, especially if Raleigh's brought up at the same time. Speaking of that, we see Bob being brought out, but Boring Winter brings out the Dragon Blade, is nearly able to take down Frost, who's able to stay alive in the midst of it, who brings that Dynamite Blast onto him, dealing some good damage. We see him getting back in there, but unfortunately, that Rampage makes it so that way he's unable to heal. Hex gets taken down, Frost is taken down, Lyric falls immediately afterwards. That Rampage dealt a lot of damage to them, but Clear and Strider are able to stay alive for just a little bit longer. That Recall is able to keep Clear alive for just a moment, but Damocles is able to get the elimination onto him. Strider, as usual, is able to get back into the backlines and stay alive to regroup with the rest of the team. But in the midst of all that, San Diego was able to take the point for themselves. Boise State only has 3% left to go, but they still have that overtime to worry about if that would need to come to it.
Out comes the Kitsune Rush from Rogue, which is going to be kind of hard to deal with on Boise's side since they don't have a tank, which we see with Hex and Lyric dying even with the orbital ray going off. Clear does use Pulse Bomb and is able to find Arrayas while Strider doesn't manage to get their point in their favor. Unfortunately, they do not have the manpower to retake.
Yeah, he's able to get the point for themselves, but unfortunately they managed to get back on the midst of the overtime. We saw Strider did not feel it was a good time to bring out the minefield, but currently that is the only ultimate other than Arrayas and Damocles' ultimates. We see him moving in there, dropping the minefield directly onto Mine, who's able to back up and get some healing. As we hear Arrayas bringing out the Deadeye. Unfortunately not able to find any picks so far. Strider's able to take down Rogue with the minefield. Arrayas does not find any eliminations with that, as Frost is able to keep the pressure high and deal a headshot onto Arrayas, who's forced to sit back as Frost retakes the point, and we see them getting overtime once again. San Diego has to get back on the point. We see Mine doing exactly that, but the Boomstick Blast is able to get him off the point once again. As Frost is able to take down Mine, and Damocles and Arrayas both go down. Strider's able to take down Rogue. Immediately afterwards, we get an entire team kill onto UC San Diego. Boise State does not even need to worry. They are able to get flashpoint number 2 for themselves.
What a rush that fight was. That was a lot more back and forth than that first one. I feel like UC San Diego is really starting to feel themselves. They might have lost that last round, but there's still quite more game left to play.
Yeah, this has actually just been a lot of situations of Boise State being able to take the point for themselves in the middle of overtime. So I'm not surprised to be seeing more of that. We'll be seeing if we see that in this third flashpoint. As Strider is taking a lot of damage, the pressure is very high onto him, and he's having a lot of trouble getting onto the point. We see Clears makes an attempt to drop the pulse bomb, but is not able to find any picks. Currently, Bob and the Rampage are the only ultimates we see from either side. We see Bob getting brought out, thrown directly onto the flashpoint as Strider goes behind and tries to slam onto Lucio. Mind brings out the Rampage for themselves, hitting Frost and Hex, who unfortunately Frost goes down, Clear falling right behind. Hex is able to stay alive due to Lyric's healing, but the pressure is kept extremely high onto him. Unfortunately, he's taken down in the middle of Lyric's reload. So once again, Strider is the only one left alive, with Lyric barely being able to be kept alive in the midst of all the chaos. Strider goes down to the hands of Boring Winter. We see him trying to stay alive, but he's also able to take down Lyric with a melee. Boise State has to surrender the flashpoint to San Diego, who's put in a very good spot.
Although they did have to surrender in the end, they were still able to get 27% on the board, only just now being matched by UC San Diego, which gives them a pretty good boost if they were to get this control back on their side. And with Minefield on Strider, that is definitely a possible outcome. But he does have to be really careful, since Kitsune Rush is there on the other side and is going to be a constant threat, as it just came out right now.
We also see the Deadeye being brought out by Cassidy. Arrayas needs to find some picks here soon, but he's had a pretty unfortunate streak with it. Once again, not being able to find any picks, but the rally brought out by Hex is only just barely able to keep him alive, but is unfortunately taken down by Boring Winter's Dragon Blade. The Orbital Ray tries to get brought out to work up against it, but is unfortunately not being able to keep Lyric alive. Minefield gets dropped by Strider. And is able to keep the pressure onto San Diego, who's not able to get back on. Damocles gets taken down by Clear. Frost is brought pretty low, but he's able to stay alive. Clear also takes down Arrayas in the midst of all of that, as Strider just goes back to being able to take out Boring Winter. Lots of melee kills being traded by both teams so far tonight. Boise State was able to take the point back for themselves and get up to 75%. San Diego will have time for one more team fight in the middle of this, depending on how overtime goes. Could be brought up to 2 or 3. But currently, San Diego needs to get in there right now before they lose this second round.
Yeah, although it's going to be pretty difficult with so much damage coming through from both Frost and Clear in the backline. Strider also just being a constant threat is also kind of pushing how far they can go in. Unfortunately, they're not able to find the time to get the overtime pick, bringing Boise State up 2-0.
Poor Mine had ran in there trying to get trying to contest the point in the last moments, but that boomstick blast bumped him back in the last moments. But fortunately for Mine, even in the midst of that unfortunate ending, was able to get the play of the game for themselves. That Rampage got brought out at a wonderful moment, being able to hit multiple characters. We saw that with Frost and Hex being taken down. With a lot of the team going down here, was one of the few moments, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is when Strider got taken down. And if Strider gets taken down, that's a pretty tough spot for Boise State, because Strider has a pretty good habit of staying alive in the midst of all of the chaos and carnage going on.
Yeah, we saw with that map in particular, Mine was able to get a lot of value off of on his carnage. This is the first season that we've seen in a while that Kiriko has not been a mainstay in the meta. Usually, she is one of those supports that you have to bring if you want any chance of winning. But this is really the first time we haven't really seen her. We've seen a lot of the Juno Brig, and we've seen a lot of the Juno Iari, or just those pokey comps, but without anything to really cleanse the anti-effect from Junker Queen, it allows her to play really safely into that Orbital Ray, which is normally one of those things that you want to avoid taking fights in at any possible moment.
Yeah, we've also been seeing people like Ana or Lucio get brought out a lot too. Like some of these support characters who we'd usually expect, we haven't been seeing as much of. But we know that what they end up picking has been brought to full effect, especially by Boise State. That Juno Brig combo is very hard to beat, just with the constant healing and the other support, especially from Juno with the movement speed. There's just so much general support being brought out onto this very dive-focused composition, with Clear as Tracer and with Strider as Wrecking Ball. They're just always getting up in their faces. So their entire team is just working together so effectively. And we can say that about San Diego too. They are still putting up a big fight here, but just like we saw in the first round, Boise State is just at a slight advantage, whether it be due to strategy or skill, or probably a combination of both.
I feel like their ability to not only get back to the point, but also hold it in that precious overtime moment is definitely what is allowing them to pull ahead in these scenarios. While San Diego is able to control the point really, really well, it seems like they can't get the one kill that's really needed in overtime to sort of secure the deal. A lot of the time, Clear is able to just kind of run around and do whatever he wants on the Tracer. Winter, Strider is able to do a hit and run with the ball, or even something like Frost on the Ashe, just being able to get a pick or two is definitely not helping their case.
Yeah, and we will probably be seeing a little bit of that too, because we are now going on to Hybrid with King's Row. No surprise with that map pick. Since it is Hybrid, it will be a combination of both a control point and a payload that needs to be pushed. So like you were saying about all of the necessary picks when it comes to overtime, we'll probably be seeing that. Well, most likely not seeing that onto the control point due to it being the first part of it. And that usually goes within the first couple of minutes, depending on how the teams play up against each other. But with that payload, especially once you get to the factory, there's going to be probably a lot of overtime, especially with how fast the team, whichever one's on defense, is going to be able to respawn. The closer that payload gets, the more frequently the attacker is going to have to deal with them.
Yeah, known as Scrims Row in the competitive scene for how often it is picked in scrims. It's honestly one of my personal favorite maps. I love the aesthetic. I love how I can play Reinhardt on it. Best tank in the game, in my opinion. I don't care how meta he is. But it's always fun to see King's Row come out, since a lot of the time we see a lot of similar comps, but they're the fun comps that we really like to see. And they just back and forth brawls, overtime punches, and it's just amazing to watch.
I love seeing Mei, especially out of these compositions, because Mei is just so much fun to watch amongst all the characters, just because of that long range and the freezes, all that kind of stuff. Now we see here starting out, we see Mine, Boise State, or I believe we are seeing the wrong people on the wrong side. That should be UC San Diego picking defense first, as Boise State, who is currently on the red team, is going in for the attacking. We figured that San Diego picked defense for themselves because that is usually the pick for each team to start with. Okay, we're seeing the fix here now. Maybe not. Regardless, we see Hex unfortunately going down on Boise State's side. Strider's forced to hide behind the statue as the pressure is kept high. We're seeing Frost trying to take down some of those picks on the squishier characters, but it's put in a pretty tough spot as the pressure is kept high on him conversely.
Yeah, San Diego controlling that high ground is going to make it really hard for any dives to really go through on any other squishier characters. Like, we can see that Orisa just standing in the doorway, not really able to find anything, but Aureus being able to take out Frost. Strider able to find a pick on Boring Winter, but will it be enough? Damocles falling to both the Strider and clear dive might just be enough to force them off high ground, especially with Rogue almost being caught out in the open.
And we see Clear doing their best to stay alive and keep the damage high, but unfortunately, it seems like Mine just came out of nowhere. Was able to get back on the point and stall Boise State from being able to take the point back for themselves. Orisa is a great pick for this map because she does not go anywhere. But unfortunately, Strider was able to sneak behind and flank her, which is putting her in a pretty tough spot there, and is able to go down as Boise State is able to take the control point for themselves in the first couple minutes, putting Boise State at 5 minutes, being able to push the point forward with a lot of time to work with.
Yeah, that anti on Mine was also kind of unfortunate. Since he was backing out, he was not able to see any sort of healing from Damocles or Rogue. And like I was talking about, with that lack of a Kiriko pick, anti and any ability that blocks healing is going to be a lot more dangerous, since you don't have any way to clear that.
Yeah, we see Strider is doing their best to get on both sides and keep the pressure high on San Diego, but the damage is just too much. She's trying to find a good point to drop the minefield. We see that getting dropped right now as they drop in the middle of the road. We see the payload slowly being pushed forward by either Lyric or Hex, most likely Lyric due to that long range. Unfortunately, for San Diego, both of their supports get taken down by Clear and Strider. Clear is taking a lot of damage from that dynamite, but is able to, almost got to the health pack, but got just taken out at the very end by Aureus.
That's truly tragic. He was so close to salvation too, but unfortunately they were ready for it.
Boise State is able to keep the payload going forward, but is unfortunately met by San Diego, who's able to get their entire team back on the payload. That dynamite throw was very effective, but unfortunately Mine just has too much health, and it doesn't seem to do much when there isn't more damage being brought out onto him. We see Frost trying to look for any potential picks off the distance. Mine is the only big target, but he sees Boring Winter, takes a good shot, forcing Boring Winter to retreat. We see the orbital ray being brought out by Rogue as Aureus is able to bring out the Bob. Unfortunately, that means Lyric goes down. Damocles is traded back by Strider, but that's a pick on both sides. Bob is able to take down Frost, actually. Frost got taken down and putting them without a damaged character. There's a lot of damage being brought out by both sides. Hex brings out the rally in an attempt to keep their team alive, and that allows Aureus and Boring Winter to both go down. Mine is doing their best attempt to take down Hex, but is able to stay alive as Strider takes them down themselves. And they're not going after Rogue, who's taken down by Clear.
Unfortunately for Rogue, he was not able to find a way out. That was an incredible showing by Boise. Just being able to take what seemed like a disadvantage at first and just flip it on San Diego's head.
Well, we've seen that a lot from their overtime retakes of points here. So it doesn't surprise me. We're seeing that in other points along the payload too. Speaking of the payload, Boise State is able to get it up to that checkpoint, adding more time to the clock, giving them now 4 minutes to get it all the way to the end, or just as far as they possibly can.
Yeah, looking at the ult lineup, Boise definitely has the advantage here with Nano Boost. With Nano Boost not quite coming out, but Minefield coming out, finding one on Rogue, but unfortunately Lyric falls as well. Oreus also dies, so does Mine and Damocles. All 4 of them going down to Strider alone. Holy moly, that was an amazing play.
Boring Winter was lucky to be alive. That minefield was an excellent placement. We might not have seen it firsthand, but that kill feed said all that needed to. That was a lot of damage being put on the both sides, forcing a reset. We see just Frost trying their best to just stave off the team as best they can. He was able to dodge that dynamite throw, but it's taken a lot of damage from Mine. Clear's able to take the pick onto Erase with that pulse bomb. We see Damocles bringing out the rally for UC San Diego, just doing their best to keep the contestant on the point. We see Bob being brought out by Frost, leaving another character for San Diego to go up against. We see Oreus actually switching over to Widowmaker, which could prove to be very helpful. We see Mine bringing out the Terror Surge, but is taken down before it comes to full effect. Boring Winter gets taken down by Bob immediately afterwards. And they get the payload all the way there to the end with nearly 3 minutes left on the clock. Even if UC San Diego is able to get the payload all the way there to the end, they're still at a big disadvantage.
What a play out of Boise State on that third point. Strider just being able to roll through them like a bowling ball through bowling pins. Holy moly, I've never seen 3 kills come out of a minefield quite like that. And also the grapple kill to finish it off. Holy moly, that really shows the strength of Wrecking Ball on these more linear maps. You wouldn't really think of it with all the high ground and just not really being able to slam on a bunch of targets. But in a team comp that requires being so close together like that Orisa comp, we definitely see the strength of Minefield coming out, especially when it's used tricky like that.
Yeah, and more than that, we just know Strider isn't like really, really good at Wrecking Ball. And having the rest of the team also being really, really good at their choice of characters. It's usually generally the same. We see Lyric occasionally switching between Juno and Ana, but in general, whoever Boise State ends up picking, they're very good at it. And whilst UC San Diego has the skills to do a great job, unfortunately Boise State just has, sometimes they just end up pulling off the better plays, able to take the points in overtime, being able to get those excellent multi-kills like we saw there with the minefield. They just have those specific moments that mean so much to them.
In the end, it all comes down to the individual players and the individual team fights. But honestly, that was an amazing showing. And I'm honestly excited to see if they're going to try something like that again.
Yeah, well, we see San Diego has the same composition as before. So potentially they see it differently than you would with that, the way you described it before. We see Frost already able to take down Boring Winter with the Dynamite Strike. Strider's able to grapple kill Arrayas, and Clear's able to take down Damocles. Mine is in a pretty tough spot, only having Rogue. While it is still a support being left alive, that is only one other person. They're still right next to their spawn, so the rest of the team is able to get out very quickly. But currently, UC San Diego only has 3.5 minutes left on the clock. They'll still get a lot more time if they're able to retake the point for themselves. But they're having a pretty tough time with that, with Strider getting back on the point, slamming into them, just whacking them with that grappling hook. Frost getting another pick onto Boring Winter with the Dynamite, and Clear taking down Rogue immediately afterwards. Poor San Diego is having a tough time staying alive, being able to get past that statue.
Yeah, Genji may be able to deflect a lot of things, but he sure can't deflect fire. We also see that Brick cannot block a punch from Strider.
And you can't block a bowling ball now, can you?
No. Unfortunately, Clear does take a javelin to the face, but it is just a little bit too late for him to really make a play off of it.
Oh, we saw Strider slamming directly onto them. He got hindered and stunned, put in a pretty tough spot, but that shield is able to keep them alive in the midst of it, and the support from the healing characters. That's what really helps Strider to stay alive so long, is both the skill and working together with the teammates so well. We see him slamming onto them out of nowhere, once again flanking them from a spot that they weren't expecting it. Just getting back in there. Clear is able to find the pick with the pulse bomb onto Damocles, and Strider is able to take down Rogue with a melee. Currently has the minefield at the ready, is able to take down Mine with a headshot. Poor Arrayas is taken down by another melee from Strider. Oh, San Diego could just not get very far here.
They cannot catch a break on that high ground with Strider. It seems like no matter where they go, Strider is just always either one step in front of them or one step behind, ready to roll them over.
Directly above them, always getting that slam onto them. We see Frost was able to get a good shot onto the enemy team, dealing some good damage, keeping the pressure high with that long distance. The Dynamite throw, unable to find any good picks onto the enemy team, but is able to take down Rogue with a headshot. Clears also with the takedown with Arrayas. Strider taking taking down Damocles, a damage character, and both supports. Oh, and Mine gets slept as the rest of the team is able to see them right there. Poor Mine put in a tough spot. Frost takes him down to the headshot. Boring Winter, who switched over to Tracer, does not find any better luck, does not get killed by the Dynamite, but does get bowled into by Strider. They only have a minute and a half left on the clock, 0% on that main control point. Boise State is not letting them get past, and they are not letting them get a single chance to get on that point.
For San Diego, we are seeing 4 ultimates almost up and ready. Both support ults, but neither of them are really able to save them.
Aureus is taken down by a headshot from Clear. We see them bringing out the rally from Damocles. Strider tried to bring out the minefield, and that could have done some good damage, but we still cannot get a very good vantage point from seeing Frost bringing out Bob right there, taking down oh my goodness, they were able to take down some good damage as Frost brings out Bob. And currently, other than Bob being stationed at the point, the only ultimate left for Boise State is that Pulse Bomb. Well, San Diego has 3 at the ready. But currently, they only have 43 seconds. They were able to get a little bit of percentage onto that control point, but unfortunately, since it didn't get to the first third, it went all the way back down. We see Clear keeping the pressure high, diving behind the enemy lines. Able to recall before they go down. Oh, but Aureus flanks them out of nowhere. And unfortunately able to take down Clear. They're getting back onto the point. 30 seconds left on the clock. Mine is able to finally get onto there, but Strider takes down Rogue, and Frost takes down Damocles, leaving them without a support character. Mine isn't going anywhere other than the graveyard. We see Aureus trying to bring out that, yeah, they're trying to take out the Deadeye. Not much luck. Frost is able to take the pick onto Aureus with the Dynamite. Strider's able to take down Mine, bullying directly into them. They did get to the first third, but there's only 3 seconds left on the clock. Lyric goes down in an unfortunate turn of events, and we're put into overtime here. We see the minefield get brought out by Strider, who's brought very low on health, but they're able to keep the pressure high off the point, but 2 people go down. Both Damocles and Boring Winter going down. Rogue is taken down by Frost. Aureus finds the pick, but unfortunately it's not enough time, as it worked well in Boise State's favor, giving the first game of the evening to Boise State.
Holy moly, that was an amazing final game for Boise State. Just the ability to keep them stationary with a character you wouldn't really expect them to do so with.
Here's that triple kill minefield we were talking about earlier, and now actually from the perspective of Strider. We see Mine, Aureus, and Rogue all going down to it, and then bowling into Damocles. Wow, that was insane.
That final fight was an adrenaline rush and a half. That early pick on San Diego's 2 supports was probably what sealed the deal for Boise State. Sure, they were able to come back in overtime with 2 support ults, but with no real supporting characters, they weren't really able to do anything with them. Sure, Brig and Juno are incredibly strong, especially within their own ultimates, but by themselves against a full team, even with Lyric going down, unfortunately, in the beginning of the fight, they were still able to just do so much with the small amount of resources that they did have. And then with Orisa ult, Terra Surge, and Widowmaker coming out just a little bit too late, and neither of them really touching the point, it's what ended up sealing the deal for Boise State.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if BSU has a team composition that might not be considered good for the map or for the game mode that we end up seeing. They still surprise us every single time. Yeah, so the first game, CECC San Diego put up a fantastic fight, but this first one does go to Boise State, but we're not done just yet. We've got one more game left after this one, so make sure you stay tuned for the next one, because I guarantee it's going to be just as exciting as the first one.
Life happens. Lucky for you, the new ICCU Central Plus checking account comes with benefits, including cell phone protection.
Wait, through my ICCU checking account?
That's right. Along with a whole lot of other benefits you might need. Because being human is a full-time job.
Once there was a traveler whose feet never left the ground. With only his mind as his map and his senses his compass, he raced into the great unknown. Armed only with the speed of legend. His trails he blazed, his rivals he played. Every sprint a blur. Every turn trusting his allies. In silence he raged and waged with quickening, sickening speed. His name a chant filling arenas. Because some heroes leave footprints, others an afterburn. Without conflict, there is no resolution. Without verses, there is no victory.
Here are a couple lessons I've learned over the years. Friendships come in all shapes and sizes. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Home is where you hang your hat, snuggle up, hide out. Home is when you're with the ones you love. It isn't just a place, it's a state of mind. At Idaho Central Credit Union, our home is Idaho. We grew up here, and we're proud to help more Idahoans with their home loan than any other financial institution. Idaho Central Credit Union. We believe home is where you make it.
Welcome back to the Boise State Esports Arena. We are located here in the heart of Boise for another wonderful Overwatch match. It's a lovely cold day, but to those of you who don't like the cold, I am so sorry for you. We got a lot of excitement coming up here for the second game, but we'll see if it can match the insane amount of excitement we saw in the first one. It was an absolute crazy thing to watch, and I'm hoping to see just about as much of crazy antics and chaos that we saw the first time around.
Yes, the arena is feeling electric. I'm even feeling it amongst the many cardboard cutouts we have behind us tonight, and even the dead guy right there.
We got a skeleton over there watching the game. We got all kinds of people because we got all kinds of fun stuff happening around here.
Every single member of our program is in this building tonight, trying to get to that coveted CECC Championship National competition in Sacramento as kind of the penultimate challenge, trying to get up to here. And I think we can all feel it, especially in that last game.
Yeah, it's a lot high stakes, high excitement, a lot of stuff to look forward to. We got our next game coming up here, and it's going to be super exciting, and we are now going up against Long Beach. And so we got a bit of a different change up here. We don't know exactly how they're going to play just yet, but we're going to have to be seeing that here soon as we go on to our very first map. Once again, we are starting on Control, but then also, once again, things can be changed up quite a lot. We're starting here on Lijiang for our first one, rather than Oasis, or Nepal, excuse me, where we started on our last one.
Yeah, honestly, I'm really excited to see. This right here. I honestly feel like this is one of the better maps in the game for Control Point, at least. And it's one of my personal favorites to not only watch, but also to play as well. And I don't know about you, but in a lot of my competitive games, a lot of people don't really know how to best utilize all of the different environmental places on this map and all of those little nooks and crannies that we don't really see a lot of play out of.
Oh, look at that. We're in the spirit of the season. We see a lovely carved jack-o'-lantern, so that way we can get right into that Halloween spirit. But we can't worry about Halloween spirit just yet, and we got a great Overwatch game to go. It seems that Boise State is sticking with their usual play, except we have Clear on a Symmetra character rather than the usual other characters that they would play. We see Long Beach currently has a Junker Queen leading the charge with our usual Juno-Brigitte combination here. As we get started, we see Strider playing Orisa instead of Wrecking Ball as they get up there in their faces, keeping the pressure high just like they would with that Wrecking Ball. Control point unlocked right now, and we see Boltaro doing his best to get on the point to get that percentage started up, but is met by Frost and Strider, who try to get them taken down.
Unfortunately, the Junker Queen is sort of getting cut off from his team because Boise is just doing a really good job getting in between it, even if they are really low. We do see Junker Queen finally fall to Strider, also taking out Quaver before the rest of Long Beach just has to back off and try again.
Yeah, we see Input Logic doing their best to keep the damage high. We saw Frost nearly went down in the middle of all that, but fortunately, both of them were able to stay alive. But Hash to Grain, excuse me, went down in an unfortunate set of circumstances, but that allows Long Beach to regroup back to where they were before. We see Clear bring up the teleporter to do their best to stay alive. Strider is able to get back with that Terra Surge at the ready. Lyric has that Orbital Ray. So currently, Boise State is doing very well with that ultimate advantage. Unfortunately, Lyric goes down as Dabbing Ninja brings out an Orbital Ray of their own. Voltro takes down Frost, and Rain takes down Strider. Input Logic takes down Clear, and Quaver takes down Hex. Boise State goes down to a team kill.
That Orbital Ray just seemed to be a little bit too much, especially with all the damage that Farah was outputting with Quaver. Also, the Symmetra into Orisa is kind of a risky strategy because Symmetra can cut through a lot of Orisa's abilities, but is also one of the squishier characters that does a lot of damage, even with the teleportability, able to get people in and out.
Yeah, we see Lyric dropping down that Orbital Ray, allowing the team to stay alive as best as they possibly can. Input Project brought out Bob, and Strider was able to take down Quaver. Bob has yet to get any picks off just yet, but he hasn't gone down yet, and now we see him getting taken down. Frost is able to take down Rain. Clear is able to take down Input Logic, and allowing Boise State to be able to retake the point for themselves. Long Beach was only just barely able to get that percentage right above Boise State, but they immediately make that necessary comeback.
Yeah, that Bob on Input Logic was immediately taken care of due to Clear in the wall, but it also leaves Boise at they're only ult neutral right now. So it's honestly a really fair fight right now with both Orisas and Terra Surge. We do see Farah trying to get that jump on Frost, and also Voltro coming out with Terra Surge, able to take out Frost, but not before Quaver falls. Out comes the rally, not really able to find anything and just kind of being punished by by Long Beach. Both rallies are out right now, and Strider unfortunately falls to the combined pressure of Belatra and the rest of his team. We're not really able to see any picks, but Hex finally falls to input logic, forcing Lyric to kind of fall back, and Clear also falling in the middle of the point.
Lyric did their absolute best to keep Hex alive, but unfortunately, they all just got taken down, forcing Boise State to regroup once again. They are ahead on that point percentage, but CSU Long Beach is giving them a real run for their money here. Just like we saw last game. If we see a similar event from last game, we could see them taking it at the overtime, but we're not done just yet. CSU Long Beach is up to 60%, so they've still got 40% way to go before they're able to get this first capture point for themselves. We see Strider getting up in their faces, trying to keep the pressure high, trying to get Boltero off the point, but it's incredibly difficult. But we see Frost bringing out the Deadeye, forcing them to hide behind cover. Dabbing Ninja brings out that orbital ray as they're just nearly taken down by that Deadeye. Frost is brought down very low on health as Boltero just keeps attacking them, and unfortunately Input Logic takes him down with that dynamite stick. Strider was able to get an elimination of his own and takes down Input Logic, falling right afterwards. Oh, Quaver tried to bring out the barrage, but was taken down by Strider. Hashtag Rain is taken down by Hex, who immediately follows up, eliminating Boltero.
That was an unfortunate barrage out of Quaver. Oh. Just being in that such an open spot, standing still is not a really good option when it comes to ultimates. Unfortunately for Farah, that happens to be hers. But even with that, it allows him to swap over to the Genji, which should hopefully help with the retake. Belatra also having his ult is definitely really useful, and Input Logic almost having his. He has Bob now. He can probably do a lot of stuff with that. We do see Dabbing Ninja fall really low on health. Same with Input Logic, unfortunately falling to Pulse Bomb. Hex getting a really good kill on Hashtagram. Unfortunately, Clear falling to the enemy Bob. Belatra brings out the Terra Surge to hopefully stall for a little bit of time. Unfortunately, Strider is just able to stay up and out of following Boltero. Hex finds that kill with the Whiplash, and unfortunately, Quaver also falls as well. Overtime ticking down. Rally comes out on the Hex to keep him away, and there goes first point to Boise State.
Wow, not exactly the same sort of circumstances we had seen before, but still very close. They were able to take the point back for themselves and keep it. Just barely able to get a near team kill. And even with Hex, we saw them bring out the rally and do the shield bash onto the poor Dabbing Ninja, who's doing their best to get up in the point. Having that CC to just keep the enemies back was so crucial there at the end because they were making some very rapid ground.
Yeah, Clear also swapping off the Symmetra and onto the Sombra, I feel like was the right play. Honestly, when I was watching him, he didn't really seem very comfortable on the Symmetra, but the more fast-paced nature of Tracer is probably more his speed, and that's what we saw in just being able to take out Quaver on the Farah over and over again.
Yeah, but we see them starting out Clear on Symmetra, allowing the team to get up close, and Lyric immediately bringing down that speed boost too, allows Strider, who has now switched back to their comfort pick of Wrecking Ball, to get right up in their faces right off the bat. We see him going after Boltero, switch over to the Junker Queen. He's taking a lot of damage here. Immediately gets eliminated by Frost before the control point even unlocks. Poor Hex goes down, and Frost immediately follows. Strider's put in a pretty tough spot, but is able to stay alive. Quaver is taken down by Lyric. Dabbing Ninja takes a ton of damage, getting eliminated by Clear. Strider bowls into Input Logic, living up to the name of a Wrecking Ball. And hashtag Rain is taken down by Strider due to a headshot, giving Boise State that first point capture.
That was an incredible display out of Strider. It shows just how dangerous Ball can be in the wrong hands. Two supports were not even able to take him out. And honestly, a lot of the DPS had to kind of focus on him, which allowed Clear to just get back there and just deal damage upon damage and just get those picks that are needed.
Yeah, we see Boltero doing his best to get back on the point to keep the pressure high, but unfortunately Strider just keeps bowling into them, not letting them get anywhere. Unfortunately, Frost, Lyric, and Hex all go down. Strider's brought to very low health and is forced to escape with just barely getting back, forcing himself to regroup with the rest of his team.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing about these ball compositions, is that it sort of leaves your two supports and one of your DPS in a kind of team deathmatch situation in which they are outnumbered a lot of the time, and they rely on their ultimates to sort of even out those odds, with Strider just kind of being a menace in the background and Clear to back him up.
Yeah, we see Frost and Clear going back to their comfort picks. The team is back to their usual, but unfortunately Quaver bringing out the Dragon Blade, Dabbing Ninja hitting that melee, has taken down 3 of the characters. Fortunately, Clear is able to take down Input Logic as an act of revenge and justice. We see Lyric switching over to Ana. And currently the ultimate advantage goes to Clothing Beach, but they're able to take down hashtag Rain with that Pulse Bomb.
That's going to make them start with one less support, and with Dabbing Ninja on critical, he goes down as well.
Down.
Now that the rest of Boise is finally coming in, we do see Strider unfortunately die off the map, but that is a point retake for Boise.
Wow, they were put in a tough spot, but took down both of Long Beach's supports. Strider went down once, unfortunately leaving Boise State without a tank, but they don't need one. They've got plenty of time to kill before Long Beach gets back. And, well, Wrecking Ball, he gets there extra quick. So we see them being able to regroup even at the loss of their tank. We see the team doing their best to get back on the point, but Wrecking Ball brings out that minefield. Boltero is able to take down Hex. Frost gets taken down very low and is taken down also by Boltero. We see Lyric doing their best to stay alive, is able to stay alive for just a little bit longer, but Boltero takes them down with that axe swing. Clear is doing their best to take down Input Logic. Both the Traces going up against each other, but in the midst of all of that, Long Beach was able to take the point back for themselves. Oh, and Clear almost made it to the health pack, but just barely got taken down, and with a headshot, no less.
We see Strider coming back over. He's probably looking for a touch here, or maybe even a kill onto that enemy Juno, just to make some sort of space. But we do see the Rampage come out of Balatro. Quaver dying really fast to Clear, and Hex falling to Balatro. And Input Logic trying to find the kill on Strider and just stall that point. But unfortunately, the rest of Boise is going to be coming back, and it's going to be a little bit too much for Dabbing Ninja falling to Frost without that tank to help him out.
Excluding that minefield, they got basically everything built up. We saw Clear try to wrap up the pulse bomb, didn't get a kill, but Frost was able to punch him in the face, leaving Long Beach without a tank, and immediately goes after Input Logic, trying to take him out. The recall saves him. But
Quaver does find that kill on Clear, which might leave a little bit of a disadvantage here, but we do see we see tons of ults coming out. We see Orbital Raven dabbing Ninja, Nano from Lyric, the rally on Hex, and a Deadeye from Frost to wrap it all up. We do see the kill
and
on
now Quaver bringing out the Dragon Blade.
Input Logic going down, and same with dabbing Ninja. Frost unfortunately falling, and Lyric to Balatro. Quaver dying to Strider in the end. None of those ultimates from Long Beach were able to do anything. Strider also finding the kill on Balatro. Also finally able to close out the map for Boise State. Wow. Once again, we see so many ultimates coming out. It gets hard to
that was
track
5
them.
or 6.
Holy moly. Every ultimate on the field just coming out in order to finally put an end to the round. Holy moly.
We see Quaver getting that play of the game. While they did have the unfortunate circumstance where they got taken down mid barrage, they still managed to get some very good damage here in the first round. We see that that was an unfortunate state for Boise State when they got nearly eliminated, but they still managed to make that comeback. Honestly, about as I expected. Boise State, they have that expert team composition. They've got those fantastic skills. And more than that, they have an impeccable ability to just make those comebacks when we're least expecting it.
Yeah, they seem to have that Wrecking Ball composition on lock. They know their weaknesses. They know how to play around them. And I feel like that's something that every team who's going to have to go against them is going to have to sort of watch out for. Like, normally into Wrecking Balls, you can run the Cassidy and Orisa, and that's enough to shut them down. However, into Strider, you can't really do anything to the ball that goes in, kills your Juno, and is already 100 feet away by the time you really notice it.
He just goes everywhere and anywhere he wants. And like you said, with you'd expect the magnetic, the grenade, or the javelin to stop him, but he's just too fast. He's just a little hamster in a big ball, and he just goes all over the place, and it makes it so hard for the enemy team to do anything about it.
We've also seen something similar on Clear, just being able to kind of camp out in the back line and just find those sneaky little pulse bombs that we've seen all night. We saw it prominently in the second round of that last match, but just being able to find that pulse bomb that's enough to take it down to a 4v5, especially if it's the Brig that you're killing, since that's really the thing that's hindering the Tracer and the ball from really getting in and doing whatever they want. That's a really big pick, and I feel like Boise has just kind of been able to find those all night.
Yeah, Boise State has got a great composition here. No surprise we see it most of the time, but we'll be seeing what happens here in the next round. We are moving on to Push. Bit of a switch up from last time, where we saw Flashpoint for the second round.
Yeah, Push coming out is definitely going to be interesting, and it's probably going to play a little bit more into Boise State's favor with those ball comps. Push is notoriously a dive kind of game mode in all reality. I mean, you can run the pokey compositions like Orisa, and she does pretty well, but you're going to have to watch out for Strider and Clear on those dive characters, being able to just get into some really, really weird positions and strike you from places you wouldn't have really expected it.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing about Wrecking Ball is he's definitely going to strike you where you're least expecting it. But with Push, the interesting thing that I'm noticing about this one is Boise State's tendency to win in the midst of overtime is likely not going to happen here. I mean, it very well could, but Push has a tendency to just go back and forth over and over and over again until the very end when it just all comes tumbling down for one of the poor teams. There's only one way to find out how that actually turns out, because this entire game mode goes for 10 minutes regardless of how well each team does, unless, of course, they get the robot all the way to the end.
Yeah, we can see Strider here already taking up one of those sneaky angles. Unfortunately, falling back to his team just because he couldn't really find anything. Clear also trying to find those angles. It doesn't even matter if Strider is coming from an angle they don't expect because he's just able to do whatever he wants and finds a kill on Dabbing Ninja and Clear on #Brown. Already leaving Long Beach with no support lineup, and they are forced to back out. Tracer already really low, and Quaver also. Strider able to find that kill on Input Logic, with Junker Queen having to back out and just trying to get away from this highly mobile composition.
Yeah, we see Boise State pushing them back as far as they possibly can. Bolter are doing their best to stay alive, but the damage is very strong. Fortunately, they find some healing, whether it be through health pack or through the support characters. But Boise State is getting pretty close to this first checkpoint, already almost to a third of the way there. That will give Long Beach that advantage in terms of having the forward spawn. But we'll have to see if they even get there first. Oh, we see Clear taking a lot of damage. Boltero is going after them very, very aggressively, but fortunately he's able to stay alive in the midst of all that. Frost brings out the dynamite, isn't able to find any picks on or any damage in general. But it keeps the pressure high. Boltero is down to about half health as they're struggling to keep the point contested, but they're able to take it back for themselves. Strider's able to take down #Rain and is continuing to push forward, nearly taking down multiple other characters.
The recall was forced out of Quaver on the Tracer, which is going to make it a little bit harder for him to survive. Strider getting that kill on Dabbing Ninja, and Frost able to kill Belatro mid-escape, and Input Logic falling soon after, Quaver falling to Clear. Almost a team wipe out of Boise State.
I need to re-highlight that. I need to re-highlight that kill onto Boltero. I don't even know how we saw him coming, but the moment he exited that doorway, he got an instant headshot onto Boltero.
That was quite unfortunate. We do see Boise State getting the forward spawn, which allows them to get a little bit more of an advantage when it comes to spawns and just dying in general. Although we are seeing almost every single ult on Long Beach's side coming into play. Lyric and Hex also looking really good on both of their support ultimates, and Strider with his infamous minefield.
Frost getting some good dynamite picks here, unable to find any actual kills, but is able to keep the pressure high with that just constant overtime damage. We see it there again. Onto Boltero. We see the minefield get dropped by Strider. It's put onto the bridge, so it's unable to let them get up through there. We see Frost once again waiting to see if he can get that pick onto Boltero, but Clear's able to take him down himself. Dynamo's being thrown back and forth. Clear's trying to keep the pressure high, making sure they don't get eliminated, but still trying to get as much damage off as possible. Input Logic goes down due to Frost, and poor Quaver is slept and gets stuck in a poor spot where Clear just dealt a bunch of damage before Lear got the inevitable kill.
Poor Quaver experienced every Tracer's worst nightmare, getting slept by an Ana. That's like putting a hit on your back too, because you get slept, there's nothing you can do. We see almost every single ult on both sides. Next fight is definitely going to be an ult dump. We do see Lyric die to the pulse bomb really early on, which is going to put a damper on what Boise State is capable of in this next fight. Frost dying to Belatro, but not before taking out Dabbing Ninja without any ultimates. Hex does bring out the rally, unfortunately unable to find anything. Strider able to kill Input Logic. Pulse bomb coming out on Clear, not really able to find anything, just trying to get out of the way with both Quaver and Belatro hot on his heels. And unfortunately falling to Quaver, with Strider falling back to his team.
Once again, we're at that one disadvantage to this composition where Strider, if anything goes wrong, is forced to just retreat. And he's very good at staying alive. But unfortunately, it's just they get put in a pretty bad spot if things like that happen. But fortunately for Boise State, they don't see that very often.
Yeah, leaving their backline really open. It allows him to not slam down on Input Logic and Juno and Dabbing Ninja, but allowing Clear to get the finishing blow on him. That is going to put a really big damper with Brig on 1 health and falling to Frost's Dynamite. Unfortunate. This is going to make CSU Long Beach have to back up. Frost getting a kill on Quaver. Lyric finishing off Input Logic with Strider's help.
Dynamite kill, biotic grenade kill, all kinds of explosives, regardless of what they do, are getting lots of kills against Long Beach. We see Boise State getting the robot back to that checkpoint. And they're about halfway there to between that first checkpoint and the ending point. If they're able to get the robot all the way to the end, they win. Even if the timer hasn't ended here just yet. There's still 5.5 minutes left on the clock, so lots of time for things to happen.
Yeah, both support ultimates up on Long Beach, along with Quaver's Pulse Bomb and Belatro's Rampage. That could pose a few problems without any sort of cleanse, especially if that hits their core.
sorry. We see Strider taking a lot of damage, very, very low on health. Is able to stay alive, just barely able to get a health pack or support from the team. Currently, Long Beach is able to keep pushing forward. Unfortunately, Clear goes down due to the dabbing ninja. We see the Rampage get brought out, hitting almost the entire team with nearly everyone being taken down. Strider is able to escape, but gets met by #Rain, taking a lot of damage. He's doing his best to stay alive, slams into Input Logic, and is at 37 health. Just barely staying able to stay alive. Long Beach with that Rampage.
Managed to escape by the skin of his teeth, but in return, both teams are around the same in ult cost. Boise State with a slight ult advantage with 71 to rally. Out comes that minefield along with the saddle, along with the orbital ray. Frost unfortunately dying to Boltaro. Same with Lyric to dabbing ninja, but Clear falls to Quaver. This is still winnable for Boise State, even though Hex does fall to Boltaro in the end. Boise is going to have to back up, but no, why am I even saying that? Strider does unfortunately die in the air with Clear soon to follow.
Nearly got that slam.
So close with the slam.
Man, CSU Long Beach is making a bit of a comeback here. They made a very slight change to their composition, so this could mean a change in strategy. Boise State still has a lot of time left to work with just under 4 minutes. And now they have that forward spawn there to work with as Long Beach is able to get to that checkpoint. They're still not quite to the level that Boise State is at just yet. But Boise State is struggling to look for a good point to jump in there. We see Clear putting some damage on to Input Logic, and now onto Quaver. Able to take that health pack from Quaver, who was brought very low onto health.
Yeah, when it comes to Tracer duels, being able to control those health packs is definitely incredibly useful. Boatro able to get really low thanks to that anti, but was fortunately able to duck behind some cover and just wait it out. But that does mean that Strider does get the bot advantage and is just able to hold it there and not let Long Beach go forward at all. Quaver getting anti, but unfortunately forced to use the recall in order to survive it.
Speaking of bot advantage, we see Frost bringing out Bob, who's going to keep the pressure high and allow them to keep pushing the robot forward just a little bit. Clear nearly goes down due to Quaver. These Tracer fights are awfully scary. Oh, but Input Logic takes him down with a headshot, leaving them without one of their primary DPS characters. We see Strider being hit by that nano boost. Quaver's doing their best to get any proper eliminations. Lyric does not find that hit with the sleep dart. And we now see Input Logic bringing out that Deadeye. Frost is brought very low on health and nearly gets body blocked by Strider, but fortunately Strider goes down as well as Hex. That biotic grenade is put onto Voltero, who's brought very low on health, but unfortunately Lyric is surrounded in a very tough spot, trying to get any last picks, but gets taken down by Voltero.
Oh. That was unfortunate for Lyric, but we are seeing Long Beach with the ult advantage. Out comes the minefield and the slam. We do see Quaver use his pulse bomb, also unable to find anything, but Strider falling to #Rain, unfortunately leaving Boise without a tank, and Clear also falls to Input Logic.
Oh, Long Beach is nearly to where Boise State is at. They're at a tough spot, but fortunately for them, if the robot is that close to their spawn point, it means they're going to be coming out back to back to back to back to back.
Yeah, we are seeing Boise State trying to build those ultimates up, but are unfortunately at the ult disadvantage. Strider moving off of the Wrecking Ball back onto the Orisa. Out comes the Rampage that we've been seeing brewing all game. Unfortunately able to find Frost, Hex, and Input Logic does fall to Strider, but will it be enough?
We see Clear get brought very low on health. They're trying to take down Input Logic, but unfortunately Strider goes down. Who switched over to Orisa by dabbing ninja. Quaver goes down to Lyric, and dabbing ninja finds another kill onto Clear. They're only 2 meters away, and we see Frost trying their best to use the boomstick to get the contestant on that robot, but unfortunately just barely misses it as Long Beach takes this round for themselves. First round that Boise State has lost tonight.
Yeah, Boise State did a good job into the matchup that was pretty unfavorable for them. But I think what their downfall is that their ults were really sporadic and they just couldn't have them up at the same time. Long Beach was able to constantly have that ult pressure, whether it be through Brig Rally or Orbital Ray from Juno. We saw the Deadeye get brought out at some really weird times out of Long Beach as well, able to put that pressure on. And then, of course, Rampage as the cherry on top, just to rip through their lines.
Rampage was brutal the entire time, especially when everyone but Lyric got hit by it, and that entire team kill happened. Was so unfortunate for Boise State. But fortunately for them, that was only the second round, and is currently a tie 1-1. So they've still got a lot of time left to work with. We will be seeing now that fourth round. and potentially the 5th, depending on how things go. And I wouldn't be surprised if we did see it, considering the fact that Long Beach is putting up an even bigger fight than we saw last game, which is saying something, because San Diego was keeping the pressure high on Boise State the entire time.
I know I said it in the last round, but I feel like Long Beach is starting to sort of feel themselves into this Wrecking Ball comp, which isn't really meta, so you don't really see it very often. But playing 2 games into it, they're starting to feel their ebb and flow. They're starting to see how they can play into it a little bit better, and I feel like we're starting to see the detriment of that to Boise State's core. Just being able to ignore the Wrecking Ball and run straight on their backline is sort of posing a few challenges for Boise State. But that could also just be Push not being quite their map pick. And you never know. Boise might come back out with a steamroll, or we could see the coveted reverse sweep out of Long Beach. Either way, next match is going to be one to remember on Boise's side, and maybe we'll see another swap out of either one of the teams. I'm honestly looking forward to it.
I mean, who knows what's going to happen when it comes to the different team compositions, because while we know that Boise State has their comfort team choice, considering how well, like you said, that they're going up against it, they might be forced to choose some different characters that they wouldn't normally play here in these esports matches. We're not sure just yet, because they might have a different plan up their sleeve, because maybe that Wrecking Ball composition is exactly what they need to get to the end, but we don't know just yet as we wait for this 3rd round to get started. We don't know what game mode is going to be picked either. We just know it won't be Control and it won't be Push. Maybe we will see the mystical escort that we never ever get to see.
Well, I mean, we might see it. I mean, we see it every now and again. Of course, it's never anyone's first pick, but of course, I stand corrected right there with Junkertown coming up. Honestly, Junkertown is one of my favorite escort maps because it allows you to sort of play on that high ground and just sort of shoot down at people on both attacking and defending sides, and it really comes down to what team can control those high points more effectively.
It very much favors those long-distance characters as well as those flying characters. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw somebody like a Farah on this map, or a Juno. I mean, we're already seeing Juno because she's just such a meta pick for this game. We might even see a Mercy. She's not much of a flyer, more of a dash towards somebody and glider, but she still hits that same criteria, I'd say.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think we'll see the Mercy pick. With Juno in the game, just being able to do more than Mercy can outside of her ultimate and be just kind of an overall threat, especially with her with her healing and damaging orbs that allow her to deal a ton of damage and a lot of healing all at the same time. Either way, this map is going to be incredibly interesting, especially if Boise continues to play with their ball comp.
Yeah, I've seen the ball comp being used on Junkertown here before, and it got used very, very well. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw it there again. But maybe Long Beach might have a different plan of their own to work in their favor. We do see there that it is generally the same composition for Boise State, but now we see Hex switching up, no longer playing the comfort, maybe not the, they're not playing the comfort pick that we would usually see.
Strider acting almost like an orbital ray, or not an orbital ray, but an orbital satellite, just sitting up there and analyzing the competition. Unfortunately, unable to really find a slam, but he was able to live to tell the tale, and he's probably going back for something even more devious.
We see Strider and Boltaro both shooting at each other, but currently Long Beach is able to get a decent amount of distance on that payload. They're at about halfway there to that first checkpoint, which would prove to be very helpful in their favor. But fortunately for Boise State, they're able to get back on the point. Strider's able to try and get some slams and some other shots onto them. And that's putting Long Beach in a pretty tough spot, especially dealing a ton of damage there to Dabbing Ninja. Nearly gets brought down, and the Biotic Grenade puts #Rain in a really, really difficult place. Is able to escape with their life. But unfortunately, the same cannot be said about Boltaro, as Frost is able to take down the mech, and Strider is able to take down the driver. Frost is able to take down Input Logic. Hex, unfortunately, goes down, but Quaver follows right afterwards.
Honestly, Strider's ability to get into the backline and distract them for just long enough to do whatever the heck his team wants, it allows him to play it really, honestly, kind of reckless, because the rest of the team is... they got his back in a sense of things. He doesn't have to worry about a tank or any 2 DPS as long as he is taking down those 2 supports and distracting them for long times.
Yeah. Every person on this team knows what their job is, and they're doing it very well.
Speaking of jobs, Strider getting the kill on both supports with the help of Clear, leaving leaving Quaver, Input Logic, and Boltaro alone to try and take out the rest of the core. D.Va going down really, really low, but not really able to find a kill. Quaver going down to Strider's grapple. Botaro gets demeched and is now in her baby form and unable to really do much outside of that.
Oh, poor Strider gets taken down by Input Logic's Pulse Bomb, leaving Boise State without a tank character. That doesn't mean they're without a good fight in their system, but it means they're going to have to stick pretty far back, except for Clear, obviously, because that's not their style.
Yeah, Boltaro ditching the D.Va for more of a Winston composition to try and get rid of the Ashe. Unfortunately, we do see that Anna come onto the Ashe, allowing for her to just kind of just get in and do whatever. Huge purple on Boltaro and Input Logic, allowing them to do tons of damage. Unfortunately, no kills are found. Out comes the Orbital Ray from Dabbing Ninja, allowing tons of damage to be done, but also the Minefield and the Anti going down to kill Boltaro. Bomb is up. Is anything going to be done? Not really, with Quaver killing both Lyric and Hex in his blade, but falling down to Clear. Input Logic also dying, and Dabbing Ninja falling to Strider. Hashtag Graham, the last on the point, unable to find anything, as Clear and Strider just mop up the rest of the point.
Things were looking very, very grim for Boise State as soon as Strider went down, but as soon as Lyric gave Frost that boost, everything just went in their favor. But unfortunately for them, Long Beach is very close to getting it to that checkpoint. So they got to keep them off for another minute or so before things go well in Long Beach's favor once again.
Ooh, Quaver getting really low on health with no recall, unable to find the kill, but has Pulse Bomb to back it up. He ends up getting the kill on Quaver with no resistance from anyone else. Bob from Frost killing Dabbing Ninja, even though Frost, Lyric, and Hex all fell
the shield
down
blocked the
Tracer.
Pulse Bomb too, allowing Hashtag Rain to live for just a moment longer, but unfortunately goes down to one of Strider's, well, melee attacks. I was going to say guns, but I guess that would imply the fact that he would shoot her too. Speaking of shooting, we see Boltaro taking down Strider taking down Boltaro with a headshot, leaving Long Beach without a tank. Only 14 seconds left on the clock there, just less than 3 meters away from getting it there to the end.
Yeah, with Tracer and Venture on the field, it's going to be kind of spooky. Boise's going to have to play more close to the point to avoid that 3 meters getting taken out. Lyric does end up taking out Input Logic with the help of Strider, taking out one of their main sources of DPS.
We see Boltaro bringing out that Primal Rage, able to take down Lyric with it, but Strider brought out the Minefield themselves, able to take down Hashtag Rain, and poor Boltaro is taken down by Frost. Strider's able to take down Dabbing Ninja, Quaver goes down to Hex. Input Logic being the only one alive, tried to get back on the point.
That was really close for Long Beach to get that first point. Unfortunately, not being able to take down Strider on the Wrecking Ball or Clear on the Tracer just kind of didn't allow him to get close enough to do anything, especially their more squishy characters. And even Boltaro couldn't find a way to get onto that point and take them out, even with no support backup.
Yeah, and that Primal Rage, while it did fully regen his health, it just so much damage being brought out by literally everybody. Even those support characters can just absolutely shred a raging Winston. So he went down really fast, unfortunately, for Long Beach. And also, unfortunately for them, Boise State only has to get to basically that first checkpoint to get the second round in their favor.
I mean, it is a quite possible task. A lot of games end up in this spot since it is a really hard place to push into. With that high ground, anybody who wants to take advantage of it has that ability to just shoot down on the point pretty much for free.
And the open air, too, to add to that, especially for Winston. He can just jump right in there.
Yeah, we don't really see the Winston on defense very often, but I mean, if Strider can do it on Wrecking Ball, I'm certain Boltaro on the monkey himself can do it just as well.
I mean, he did fairly well for the second half of that last for that defense, or the offense, excuse me. He would just get up in their faces and just deal a ton of damage. While they did end up losing and not being able to get to that checkpoint, they still did fairly well. So I imagine he's going to do a very similar amount to defend here up against Boise State.
Yeah, Clear coming out of the gate on Widowmaker is definitely one of the things that we would expect out of just about anybody in the hit scan role. Not really able to find anything, which is why he switches over to Tracer, but he doesn't matter because Strider is just putting so much pressure onto their backline, forcing them off the point, allowing Hex to get free point progression. pretty much just with no resistance. Monkey does go up, but is unfortunately slept, allowing him to be slammed on. But he does manage to get out, unfortunately falling. Clear and Lyric do go down in the process, which means Boise State has to back up a little bit and wait to go in again.
We're about to that point where Long Beach was stuck at before. Right underneath that bridge is such a hard choke point to get past, just like that archway in Kings Row. So you got to play this in a very specific manner. But currently, Boise State has 3 minutes to get it past there. They got a lot of time to work with. Input Logic getting taken down by Frost with the help of Strider. And the Lyric nearly goes down due to Boltaro. He's able to stay alive, but Strider's able to take him down in the process. See Frost throwing out that dynamite, hitting 2 different people. As they're able to get that payload pushed even farther forward. They're just about there, and the pressure's kept high. Quaver gets taken down. There's only a couple people left. We see Dabbing Ninja trying to get back to the point in order to stop them from getting there to the end, but the pressure's just too high. We see Hashtag Rain getting on there, contesting it for just a moment. Dabbing Ninja doing their best. But unfortunately, Hashtag Rain goes down. Input Logic get very low as Strider brings out the minefield, taking out Boltaro and takes it all the way to the end, getting the second round in the bag.
Just barely too late with the Juno to touch the point. That was unfortunate not really being able to touch, but with that minefield being such an omnipotent presence on the battlefield, it makes it really hard for a squishy character to touch the point. And you almost need your tank to touch the point in that case, but with him already being dead due to a combination of Strider and anti-nade, it just means you can't really do a whole lot in that situation.
Yeah, and that play of the game given to Strider was 100%. He was totally worthy of that because it even gave us an instant replay of the end of that round of how well Boise State was able to play and get the point for themselves and get it all the way there to the end. So great plays from both sides, but very, very impressive on Boise State's side because they were able to just wipe out Long Beach without a second thought there, right there at the end.
Oh yeah, that was incredible. And I feel like Boise State sort of learned from the last game. Like last game we saw them use a lot of ultimates at once, which sort of led them in the deficit that we saw them in, and what I think was the reason that they ended up losing that last match. This match, we saw it a little bit more controlled. We only saw 1 to 2 ultimates getting brought out, except for like in those overtime fights where we saw not only a rally, but also the minefield, and sometimes even nano boosts come out at the same time. And I think that tempo that Boise State was able to find in their match against Long Beach was what sort of set the precedent for them to end up winning.
The willingness to learn and adapt is so crucial in a game like this, and we can see that coming out from Boise State right now. They were able to take a very, very big problem that they experienced in the second round, completely change up their strategy, and completely wipe the floor of Long Beach there near at the end. So it just shows how well that they are willing to learn from their mistakes. It's a great thing to learn IRL, but especially here now in this game, they were able to use that to their max advantage.
You know, I'm surprised they didn't stick with the Diva for a little bit longer since they were pretty close to Diva Bomb or the mech self-destruct function on the mech. I'm honestly surprised they didn't try to use that because that can be a team wipe in and of itself. We don't see it a lot in professional play where it does get more than 1 or 2 kills, but it's still a free remech for Diva and can do tons of damage to not only shields, but can also catch people off guard because of its kind of wonky radius.
All right, here for the 4th and potentially final round, we see New Junk City. We are going on to Flashpoint. The only one we have not seen just yet is Hybrid, and depending on if Long Beach is able to take this one for themselves, then we will be seeing that 5th round. But we've just got to wait and see, depending on if Long Beach is able to learn from their mistakes, just like Boise State was in between that 2nd and 3rd round.
Yeah, we're kind of staying in the Australian theme, going straight from Junkertown into New Junk City. I mean, it makes sense. Like, why move from place to place when you can stick in the same place?
I suppose they were basically right there. But on the other hand, it's a complete change of gameplay here, going from pushing a payload to capturing not just 1, but 3 or more points. So it's going to be a lot of moving from place to place and a lot of speed. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the Juno, the Lucio, Symmetra even potentially, though that's usually seen more on the control maps.
I don't know. Maybe we'll see a little bit of Symmetra on Long Beach's side since they want to play really up close and personal compared to Boise.
We see Quaver bringing out the Symmetra just about as we had expected, but Strider actually switching back to the Orisa like we saw last time they went in the last game when they did Flashpoint. We saw that Orisa being brought out at the very start. Input Logic nearly taken down 15 seconds before the first Flashpoint even opens up. Boltaro's brought very low, but Frost is taken down by Quaver with a dash, but Strider's able to take down their one and only tank for Long Beach. is able to stay alive due to the help from both Lyric and Hex. We see Clear switching over to a Mei, a bit of a change-up, but having those ice walls in the freezing could prove to be very useful. Lyric gets eliminated by Quaver, and is taking that brings Boise State down to only one support character.
Although I think it is going to be enough since they are pushing Long Beach off of the point. Unfortunately, not really able to find any kill takes outside of Dabbing Ninja on Strider, just being able to find that kill. Clear falling to the Jagged Blade from Balatro. Frost able to kill Input Logic, but Quaver finding that kill on Hex, leaving Frost alone. Oh wait, no, I stand corrected. Strider's right next to him, able to put a little bit of pressure on himself, but unfortunately it's just not enough into the Quaver Genji.
Lyric tried to get back on there and get the point contested, but unfortunately it seems like Long Beach has won this first matchup, leaving Boise State forced to regroup and acclimate themselves so that way they can get this flashpoint back. Still got lots of time. Long Beach is only at 20%. But unfortunately, they're having a tough time getting back in there with the constant pressure being brought out by that Jagged Blade and the other range attacks being brought out. We see Clear getting the first ultimate of the game with that Blizzard, with Quaver following up with that Dragon Blade. Both of them being brought out at the same time. Quaver's able to take down Frost with it. They're taken down by the Shield Bash from Hex. They keep pushing forward. Boltaro taking a lot of damage, but able to keep alive. We see Hex bringing out the rally with hashtag Rain, bringing out one for themselves. We see Strider bringing out the Terror Surge, taking down hashtag Rain in the midst of all that chaos. We see Boltaro having that at the ready. Input Logic bringing out the Deadeyes, not able to find any picks. But the Ice Wall is blocking him off. The Orbital Ray is brought out by Lyric, allowing them to continue pushing forward. Boltaro gets taken down by Lyric. As Long Beach is forced to move back, we see nearly the entire team pushing forward. But the point is currently contested as Strider has to go up against this Genji, but it's taken down by a headshot from Frost. An active revenge from the Dragon Blade from last time.
Yeah.
Long Beach is able to get up to 98%, but Boise State made that comeback, getting it up to 10% and rising.
Both teams have pretty much used all of their ultimates, but Dabbing Ninja and Boltaro both have their ultimates almost ready, which can prove to be team fights on their own. So it's going to be interesting to see how they use them together.
Yeah, the anti-healing could prove to be very dangerous. We see the Rampage being brought out right now, but Strider's able to get a triple kill on Input Logic, hashtag Rain, and Dabbing Ninja. We see the pressure kept high by Frost, who's trying to take down Boltaro, where Strider gets a quadruple kill, leaving only one left alive as Hex takes down Quaver, getting basically a team kill.
Another huge play from Strider to secure the point. That was amazing, being able to face tank that Junker Queen Rampage and just be able to get in and deal tons of damage to the backline. That is exactly how you play off that. Honestly, being able to shut down Quaver both on his Genji and his Tracer and just not allowing him to flank around is going to be impressive. Here comes out the Orbital Ray, but here comes Deadeye as well to sort of counter it. Not really able to find anything because he's forcing Long Beach back. Unable to find anything, but they end up wasting that Orbital Ray in the process.
Oh, we see Input Logic bringing out their own Deadeye, but was not able to find a good moment to use it. Frost is able to take down Boltaro, leaving Long Beach without a tank. They're still able to contest the point, and were nearly able to take it for themselves. But Quaver goes down with the rest soon to follow. Hashtag Rain very low. Lyric is taken down by Input Logic, but Boise State was able to have the time they needed to get that first flashpoint for themselves. Oh, and Frost hits Input Logic while very low on health, but is nearly taken down at 5 health, nearly getting eliminated by Dabbing Ninja. And unfortunately is able to get brought back up to nearly full health due to Hex having that healing capability.
Strider getting the kill on Dabbing Ninja, which is going to put a little bit of a kink in CSU Long Beach's plan, because now they're going to have to wait for their main source of healing to get out of spawn.
Yeah, currently we see the ultimate advantage is to neither team with Hex, or actually I stand corrected, Clear just now got that Blizzard up at the ready. Hex has the rally, and while Long Beach only has that Pulse Bomb, which is only good for just 1 kill if placed correctly.
Somebody is currently on the point, even though Blizzard is coming out, able to find Input Logic and Dabbing Ninja. Lyric unfortunately dies to Boltaro, but the point does favor Long Beach right now. Hashtag Rain does die to Strider, but with Lyric dead, how are they going to end up pushing this point?
Oh, and Boltaro got hit by the magnetic grenade, put in a tough spot as he got thrown up against the wall with that Javelin spin and taken down by Frost. They are able to get the point back for themselves.
We saw a really cheeky point take by Quaver in this situation. situation, which allowed him to build up his pulse bomb. And with Boltaro almost up in ult right now, he is probably just biding his time, waiting for everybody to group up and getting a second go ahead. Out comes pulse bomb, unable to find anything, but it's still an ult use that Boise does not have to worry about. Out comes Deadeye, able to be blocked by Maywall, but somebody is back on the point.
We see Input Logic is able to take down Frost in the middle of the rally, and unfortunately Boltaro goes down to the uses the Jagged Blade to take down Lyric and eliminates Strider immediately afterwards, forcing Boise State to surrender the point. But we see Clear getting back on the point, trying to get any last eliminations. But unfortunately did not go very well due to it being an unfortunate 1v5.
Yeah, Quaver just getting on to that point is sort of forcing Boise to play it a little bit fast. They have to either determine whether they want to take out the team or risk a lot of ult being, or not ult charge, but point percentage being built up in that small amount of time.
Yeah, we even see the ultimate advantage is in the favor of Long Beach. Boltaro and Input Logic both having their ultimates at the ready, especially being one to be used in it.
Ult being canceled on Boltaro from the Strider Spear. Holy moly, that is a huge cancel into the Terror Surge, unable to find anybody, but Dabbing Ninja does use his Orbital Ray. It's unable to find anybody but Frost from #Grain. But there goes Boise's own Orbital Ray, able to find Input Logic and able to drop down and find someone else. Oh, Quaver does die to Lyric along with Input Logic, and
they're trapped by the Maywall.
Long Beach is now on the ropes. Holy moly, that was an amazing ult cancel from Strider. It's almost like he could smell that Rampage coming out with how good that was.
I'm going to keep it real. I almost did not notice, and then you pointed out, I was like, whoa.
I apologize for cutting you off there, but holy moly, that was
completely
a good
valid.
spear.
That was insane. The fact that I didn't even notice proves how good of a throw it was and how out of nowhere they managed it.
We do see Quaver able to get that final touch to trigger overtime, but is anybody else going to be able to rush onto point?
Oh, unfortunately, even with Dabbing Ninja having the movement speed and Quaver having those blinks, it just wasn't enough. We see Clear and moving very quickly to the next flashpoint. As they only have one left to go, and if they manage to capture this last flashpoint, this means the last round for the night. But that depends on how Long Beach is able to make a potential comeback here.
Even with that last ult cancel, Boltaro is already at 71% on his Rampage. Is Strider going to be able to sniff this one out too, or is this one going to fall to the wayside?
Well, it's a very, very specific set of circumstances we're able to do it, so it's unlikely, but depending on how well Strider is able to play this and how well he has that reaction time to the T, he might be able to use it. The Pulse Bomb gets brought out by Quaver, is not able to find any picks. As you see Clear walling off the entire team and using the Blizzard, but they break it before they have a chance to get anything with it. Boltaro got brought very low on health, was not able to find much with it, but Frost is able to take down #Rain as Clear keeps the pressure high. Frost is able to get taken down himself, but Input Logic gets eliminated. Clear's nearly able to freeze Quaver, was able to recall. Dabbing Ninja takes down Clear, Lyric takes down Dabbing Ninja, Hex takes down Quaver, eliminations being brought back to back to back as Boltaro gets brought down, leaving Long Beach without a tank. And that gives Boise State even more time to charge the point, which I don't even know when that happened, but it happened sometime in the middle of that very chaotic, very, very brutal team fight.
Yeah, with that Blizzard from Boise just being able to shove them off the point, they were able to find that really easy point percentage. And since that fight took so long, Boise's already at 70% on the point, forcing Long Beach to move a little bit quick.
We see Quaver switching over to Echo in a potential last-ditch effort as Frost brings out the Deadeye to potentially combat that rally from #Rain. It is so far not able to find any picks, but we see the Orbital Ray getting brought out. Input Logic nearly gets taken down, but it's kept by a little bit of healing. Hex manages to take them down. Dabbing Ninja brings out that Orbital Ray, just as Lyric brings out one for their own. Clear is able to take down Quaver as Frost gets eliminated. Shredder takes down #Rain. Leaving Dabbing Ninja to be the only support left. Boltaro is still alive and still on the point, but the pressure is kept high as Dabbing Ninja gets taken down by a melee from Clear, and Boltaro gets taken down. And I believe that is the end as Boise State takes the fourth and final round to themselves. Full sweep on Flashpoint, winning the second game of the evening.
Wow, what a game out of Strider and the rest of Boise as a team. That ult cancel came out of nowhere.
I hope we see it in this play of the game right here.
Oh,
Well,
It wasn't quite the play we were hoping for. It was a really good play at the beginning. But at the same time, Strider had a great performance on the Orisa. With how good he is at Wrecking Ball, you wouldn't expect him to be so proficient in every other tank in this game. But it seems like no matter what he plays, he's just able to get on and clean house with it. Honestly, I can't wait to see what other tanks he might play. But given the person that he is, I'm sure he's going to stick to Wrecking Ball and Orisa.
Strider is just a fantastic person when it comes to leading their team in the middle of those fights and just making sure everything goes well. And we saw him using every single thing he had in his system to be able to get this win here tonight. In fact, both wins. Everyone on Boise State played so efficiently tonight, being able to get both of the wins in the bag. And while I do have to still give props to Long Beach and to San Diego, you just have to highlight the fact that Boise State played fantastically tonight. Unfortunately, that will be the last game of the night, so there isn't any more Overwatch excitement, but we've still got a long season, whether it's PEC, Playfly, or more CECC. You'll just have to stay tuned, but I hope the rest of you have a wonderful night.